Howdy, folks. Welcome back. Joined now by an old friend of the show, Congressman Louie Gohmert of the great state of Texas. He serves on the House Judiciary Committee. Sir, thanks for taking the time. It's always great to see you. Look, we have a lot to cover, so I want to dive right in. President Trump's nomination, ACB, Amy Coney Barrett, to replace the late Justice RBG, the late controversial liberal Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. What's your evaluation of his pick?
She sounds terrific. It appears from all indications that are unbiased that she will be a terrific Supreme Court justice. And what we're seeing is not just anti-Catholic, that's there, but this is, if you look at the words people are using, this is anti-Christian. This is the most anti-Christian vitriol that has ever been heard out of elected national officials in the U.S. government, whether it's from Hiawatha or, we know now with Senator Feinstein that the anti-Christian dogma is very, very loud with her. And it is incredible what this is drawing out. But, Chris, let me point out, though, when it comes to anti-Christian rhetoric, if you're a socialist, as we obviously have numerous in the Senate and the House that are, then you run into the problem that Dostoevsky was so prescient in pointing out. He said the problem with socialism is not economic. The problem with socialism is atheism. If you're really going to be pushing socialism, I saw it as an exchange student in the Soviet Union, they're going to be pushing anti-Christian rhetoric. They're going to be denying that Christians believe in because the government has to become God. It does in a socialist society.
Yep. Well, look, they can't criticize her qualification. I was watching CNN and MSNBC over the weekend, and they had analysts on there saying she's unmistakably qualified. So they can't say she doesn't have the chops to do the job. So now they've got to attack her personal life and her faith and her family.
Right.
And it just seems, and what they're really worried about is that she will go constitutional. She will recognize that Obamacare, without its mandate, is unconstitutional. She will examine possibly Roe versus Wade as to whether or not that should have been taken out of the hands of us as a people to debate and decided by 9 people in black robes. So she may give it an honest look at these kinds of things, and it just, honesty terrifies your political opposition and my political opposition, right?
Well, it absolutely does. And just keep in mind, though, you've heard socialist Democratic senators saying, well, she may not follow precedent. Well, what the heck did the Democrat appointees do for the last 100+ years? Thank goodness, though, we have people that don't always follow precedent. Otherwise, Dred Scott would still be the law of the land. And one thing I get, and I've not met Justice Coney Barrett, but from back on my judge and state chief justice hat, let me tell you, it doesn't appear you will have her write an opinion as Chief Justice Roberts did on Obamacare, where he goes through 14 pages about and says, look, obviously, if the Obamacare bill had a tax, then we wouldn't have jurisdiction and the plaintiff would not have standing. But I think it was page 14 of his opinion. He says, but it's not a tax. The Congress said it wasn't a tax. The Obama administration said it's not a tax. It's not a tax. Therefore, the Anti-Injunction Act does not preclude standing or us having jurisdiction. Now that I find we have jurisdiction, 40 pages later, basically he says, but because it's a tax, then it's constitutional. I don't think you're going to find Justice Coney Barrett having to go through that kind of mental gymnastics to make something constitutional that clearly isn't.
No, she will have more of a backbone, and she'll be more of a man than Justice Roberts. Let's talk about the other so-called bombshell. It really wasn't. New York Times hit piece over the weekend. Here you had the New York Times putting out with no proof, alleging the President of the United States paid no income taxes. Again, no documentation to support it. We only have the reporter's word for it, and basically they're accusing the president of trying to use every tax benefit that he possibly can to have the lowest tax exposure that he possibly can. Gee, we're all guilty of that. Does that mean that none of us are qualified to be president? What's your take, Congressman?
Well, but let's keep in mind, this tactic is right out of the playbook they used against Mitt Romney, where you had Harry Reid now being played by someone named Schumer, his character. And, Reid went to the floor and said Mitt Romney didn't pay any taxes for whatever it was, 10 years or whatever. And so when he was confronted after the election with the lie that Harry Reid obviously told, he says, yeah, but he didn't win. So it's clear that for Democrats, at least some of them, the end, and that is getting a Democrat in office, justifies whatever evil, dishonest means is possible. And let me also, in that vein, mention tomorrow in our Judiciary Committee in the House, we're supposed to have a bill the Democrats are pushing through that Democrat senators push through. And it takes a slap at President demanding that he allow a peaceful transition of power, yet the only people that don't allow a peaceful transition of power, that actually stand in the way, do everything they can, is a party called the Democratic Party. You go back to 1860, right. They started a civil war back then, and now they're saying they're going to start another civil war if their person doesn't win.
Right. Hillary Clinton is saying that Joe Biden shouldn't concede under any circumstances. Craziness. I only got about a minute and a half, Congressman. I want to get this question in. Tomorrow night is, of course, the first debate of the season between Beijing Biden and President Donald J. Trump. Do you expect it will be a fair debate, or will it be two against Trump? What do you think?
It'll be two against Trump, and that will be unfair to those two taking on President Trump. So they need 3 or 4, I think. I don't think 2 will be enough. But we can expect Joe Biden to have some patent lines down. I mean, I've been taught by the best debate professor in the country at the time. And if you don't know what you're doing, then you have patent lines down and you slam them down so you don't have to discuss important issues. And I think you'll see that from Biden tomorrow. Trump knows the issues. He'll be talking about them. And I think he'll end up being able to beat the team of Chris Wallace and Joe Biden.
Thank you. Congressman Louie Gohmert, everybody. Always a pleasure to talk with you, sir. And we'll talk again. Coming up.